Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to the special edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. We're going to look at Rivals of Ixalan single cards and see what's going on with them. We're going to be looking at the hot cards, the cold cards, what's trending up, what's trending down. Now, keep in mind, at the time of recording, tomorrow is the official release date of the set, so these are still pre-release prices. They will change dramatically over the course of the next few weeks, because you have to remember, the prices we're looking at today are solely based on speculation as to how well these cards are going to perform in various formats. Once people sit down and try these cards out and we see actual results, there's going to be a lot of changes in value, so do keep that in mind. But I did think, considering this is launch weekend coming up, you may want to know what cards are at least hot right now and cold right now, in case you want to make some trades or pick up some stuff for your LGS this weekend. So that's what this video is really all about. So let's get right into it, starting with the top 10 Rivals of Ixalan cards that have lost value this week. Coming in at number 10 is Wayward Swordtooth, down 52 cents to $3.75. This is an interesting card, and I think during the pre-release time this caught some players' imaginations, because it is a 5/5 for 3, I mean, you got to pay attention to that. But the fact that, yes, it does let you expedite land drops, which is pretty cool. I don't know if that's always going to be super effective after turn 3 or on turn 3. So that is maybe a hit or miss ability. And then it doesn't turn on as a 5/5 creature really till you get Ascend. And you have to wonder, is it going to be too late for it to matter at that point? A 5/5 creature is always good, of course, but if it doesn't have evasion and I'm getting its power and toughness late in the game, I don't know, is it enough for, say, a standard format? I'm a little skeptical of that. Looks like some other people are too, as this one takes a dip this week. Number 9, Trapjaw Tyrant, our first mythic today. It's down 52 cents to $4.26. This is actually a good card. Like, this is a very solid card. 5 mana, 5/5, great ability attached to it. It's a dinosaur, so why is it going down when so many other dinosaurs are going up and have people's attention? Well, I think it is just simply because at least early brews of the dinosaur deck are more Gruul colors, and even if you're going to splash white, like a double white card might not be where you want to be. So yeah, this one is a little bit cold right now, but if things change as the process goes on over the first few weeks, if people feel like adding more white to the deck will make it better, you never know, but at least right now it is a little bit cool. Number 8 is Zora's Gateway, and this is down 60 cents to $7.25. So I talked a lot about this one during the pre-release time period. This card is very, very hard to make work for you, and I do think a lot of people are seeing that. I mean, it is a mythic, granted, so it is holding a little bit of value early on, but let's face it, this isn't a card that's going to be real easy to pull off in, say, Standard. Seems like it could be cool in Commander. I mean, that's where this card is going to shine, and probably why it hasn't dropped more at this point is just simply because once you do transform it, even though it takes a little finessing to get there, it could mean a lot of big mana for you because it's based off your life total. So imagine like being able to tap this for like 30, 35, 40 mana or something like that in a game of Commander. That's crazy, right? But you do have to have something to do with that mana as well, which again, Commander is a good format for that. Not so much Standard at this point. So because of that, I do think this card continues to decline. Number 7, Angrath the Flame Chain, down 82 cents to $6.73. I like this Planeswalker a lot, but it is saying something that here we are in the pre-release time period, and this Planeswalker, as well as the other one from the set we'll be talking about in just a few moments, are on the decline. So that's a little scary. It means that at least early on, people aren't finding a lot of good things to do with them in Standard brews currently. With that being said, I think this is actually a pretty cool Planeswalker, maybe for like a Rakdos aggro deck or something like that. And you never know, especially with Ramunap Red getting nerfed a little bit, as we saw a couple days ago, that things could change in the format when it comes to what red decks are trying to do. Maybe they do splash a little bit of black going forward, or maybe they evolve into more mid-rangey mono red, or perhaps even big red mono red, or big red treasure. I've even seen people working on that. So there's a lot of different ways red can go. If it goes in this direction, then maybe Angrath gets a little bit hot, because this is, again, a pretty interesting card. 5 casting cost, though, is a little expensive for what it's doing, I think, for some decks. If it does make it there, it's more of a 2-of in a very specific kind of deck, I think. So don't expect this thing to be like the next Chandra or anything like that. At best case scenario, I think it just sees a little bit of play. But right now, it's going down pretty significantly. Number 6 is Zora the Lawbringer, down 84 cents to $5.89. Another card that just feels a little hard to pull off in the world of Standard, because the casting cost is kind of tight with the 2 blue, 2 white. And again, it has flying. It's a 6/6, great creature, but doesn't have hexproof or anything like that. So a lot of the control decks will probably try to do other things for finishers. Sphinx's Revelation was an awesome card, right? Well, it was an awesome card because it was an instant, and you could hold back and just play it at the end of your opponent's turn and just draw all the cards, gain all the life. This time, it's an attack trigger. It's not going to be as good for you. All that added up, maybe it sees a tad bit of standard play out of sideboards and control mirrors or something like that. But again, one of, two of in those situations, not a whole lot, and this card's ticking down. Number 5, Blood Sun, down 95 cents to $8.70. This is a card that has tons of potential. I mean, a lot of people saw the initial potential of this card right out of the gate. But I will say this, it is a rare, unlike some of the cards we're looking at today that are mythics, which means there are going to be more copies out there in the ecosystem once people start opening packs this weekend. And remember, once people start opening packs, the big flood of cards is coming. So all these cards are going to start to stabilize relatively quickly, except for the ones that put up really strong results over the next few weeks. Can Blood Sun put up strong results over the next few weeks? I don't really think so. Down the road, maybe. If someone can really figure out what to do with this card. The trick is this card feels like it's best in like Legacy, maybe Modern, but definitely Legacy. But Legacy is an awesome format with a lot of strong cards in it. So does this really elbow its way into that format? That's the big question right now. If it does work out and you start seeing this show up not only in Commander, but maybe at least one other format, then there's some potential for this card down the road, depending on how much play it actually sees. But right now, I think people are waiting on this one. They want to wait and see if someone can kind of break this card and really exploit the potential value that's here. Number 4, Angrath's Fury, down $1.01 to 70 cents. This is actually the only card today that is not from the set proper, but is from one of the Planeswalker decks. So this card, yeah, you know, it had a little bit of a price point, and it's come down a lot once pre-release happened, and people could actually just go out and buy the decks at the pre-release and start getting this card in their hand. It's an interesting Commander card if you want to play the Planeswalker deck, Planeswalker, in your Commander deck. It's actually fine in a situation like that, or just for a casual build. Not really something you're going to see in Standard, and that's definitely reflected in the price this week. Number 3, Storm the Vault, down $1.05 to $2.98. The big problem with this card right now is I don't think people know what to do with it. It's a really good card, has nice power behind it, but the question being, is there a reason to build a lot of treasures in the current Standard environment? Doesn't feel like it, at least not yet. That could change, though. I have seen mono red, treasure big red style decks, but I haven't seen anything that feels like they want to actually splash the blue and try to do something like this. And then even if you do, you get potentially a lot of mana. It is contingent on how many artifacts you can hold and stuff, but you do get the Tolarian Academy ability on the other side. But again, one of the problems we've seen in the Standard format is we have a lot of big mana creation cards, but like nothing really to put that mana into. I don't think that's really changed with Rivals. Maybe down the road this card has more potential depending on what comes out in future sets. But at least right now, I think people are a little skeptical there's really something to do with this card. Great card for Commander, though. Number 2, Watley, Radiant Champion, down $1.16 to $8.79. So I alluded to this a little bit ago, but another Planeswalker going down relatively significantly before it's even out, which is kind of unusual. But problem with this card is it's just so contingent on you having a very solid board state. A lot of times if you play this card and it's good, you're already winning the game anyway. If you're behind, like you just got board swept or something like that, this card does absolutely nothing for you except maybe absorb a few points of damage, perhaps. So that's kind of scary, really. This card is really cool if you have all the creatures out and all the things are going your way, but when they're not, this is a dead draw, and that means probably not going to be in Standard. And, you know, a Planeswalker that can't defend itself, it's going to be a tough sell at 4 mana. Commander players, they'll want this. Like token Selesnya decks, this will be super sweet in those decks. But beyond that, I don't see a lot of gameplay, unfortunately, for this one. Number 1, Time Stream Navigator, down $1.84 to $3.49. This caught a lot of people's eye, like again during the pre-release time, as people saw, hey, take an extra turn after this one. Those are very magical words, right? And on top of that, one of the few, at least in recent history, take an extra turn cards that didn't exile. You could actually potentially do this repeatedly. But I think once people sat down and started looking harder at this card and said, wow, it's a 1/1 for 2, and the ability doesn't work till I get the City's Blessing. And on top of that, it costs 4 mana, and it doesn't have haste. I have to tap it to get the ability, which means I have to usually untap with it before anything can even happen. Yikes, right? Like, it's just too much setup for this. And yeah, super sweet that they thought of making a card that doesn't exile for the extra turn, but if they're going to do that, they're going to nerf it in every other conceivable way, and they certainly did. I think they nerfed this one into the ground, basically. So yeah, this card takes a significant loss this week as people start to figure out, it's just not really working in my brews. It's not quite as good, maybe, as I thought it could be. Alright, let's look at the cards that are hot right now. Spoiler alert, you're going to see a lot of merfolk on the list today, but let's start off with number 10. Path of Discovery, up 61 cents to 159. So having all your creatures explore is awesome. Like, that is a phenomenal effect. Only problem with this card, though, is it does cost 4 to get it onto the battlefield, and it doesn't do anything on its own. So you do have to play creatures after that fact to get the advantage out of the card. Now, once you do, the card's awesome. And if you can put a couple creatures down in one turn or create a token or something like that, even more value gets kind of insane, right? So does the card make it into standard? I think it just depends on where the builds go and how aggressive these decks are going to be. Like a Merfolk deck, for example, if they want to use something like this, do they want to take turn 4 or 5 off instead of putting more pressure on the battlefield, like one of the Lords or something like that? That's the big question. I don't know if this card gets there. Now, it is going up a little bit this week, so we'll have to kind of wait and see. And I do think maybe it's a 1 of or 2 of in some of those decks because it does have a very powerful possible effect and outcome. And being an enchantment, it's not the easiest thing in the world to get rid of all the time either. So perhaps it does see a tad bit of play. We'll have to kind of keep an eye on this one, though. Number 9, Merfolk Mistbinder, up 77 cents to 224. So this is what I was talking about here. Now, keep in mind, this is an uncommon with a very significant increase. It really goes to show you how serious people are right now about the Merfolk, and rightfully so. They look like they're going to be amazing in Standard, and this is a card that could cross over well into that new blue-green Merfolk tribal build we saw in Modern when Ixalan came about, too. So this card's definitely seeing play. Now, it is uncommon, so there's going to be a lot of copies out there as packs get open, so this card will stabilize. But right now, this is a great indicator of where the format's going to be going. Number 8, Galta Primal Hunger, up $1.01 to $5.09. Well, this isn't a Merfolk, but this is a big old dinosaur, and it's a good one. This card just seems absurd sometimes, because really, a 12/12 trample creature, that's not all that hard to get out on the battlefield when you're just playing Magic, especially with cards like Regisaur Alpha out there. And I do think the original Dinosaur Gruul deck, which didn't do so great, and it really didn't take off in the last meta, a card like this could really change things, and especially considering we got other cards too to add to it. But this one in particular, I think could potentially take that dinosaur deck and turn it into something that is very, very playable in Standard, and that's what a lot of people are betting on. Now, the card, of course, can be destroyed with any old removal spell. That is what it is. But if they do, they still have to deal with like your Regisaur Alpha and your Dino Token and whatever else you have on the battlefield. So it doesn't mean that they are necessarily ahead at that point either. I think this is a very powerful card and one to watch. I'm glad they made this a rare, not a mythic. All the monocolor Elder Dinosaurs are rares. That means more copies out there will help control the price a little bit for some of the hotter ones like this one. Number 7 is another Elder Dinosaur, Tetsamok Primal Death. This one is up $1.13 to $3.34. Now, this is the black one, and to me, I'm a little surprised this one's going up a little bit higher than the green one was, just because I feel like the green one is going to play a bigger role in Standard, potentially. Now, this could show up in Standard decks, too, if there's a black deck looking for a big body that can potentially take out a creature, too. Like, I don't think a Standard deck is going to keep trying to throw counters on people's things and then throwing this down for a big like board sweep, one-sided sweep or anything. But what you do with this, you play this for 7 mana and you take out their best thing and you have a 6/6 Death Touch around the battlefield. I think that's how you play this. So with that being said, I do think this could see some play at some point down the road. I think the power level is definitely there. There are people very interested in this card definitely right now, as you can see by the price increase. I'm a little skeptical though if it gets there and what it's going to do, at least in this Standard, but I guess we'll wait and see. Number 6, Twilight Prophet, up $1.44 to $9.04. Fantastic vampire card here. And yes, this will be part, I think, of a standard vampire deck. Now, mono white vampires were kind of a thing last time. They started to splash a little bit of black from time to time in the last meta. But there are so many reasons to go deeper into Orzhov now with the new vampires that are being added that I definitely think that that will be a thing. And the power level, I think, is definitely increased as well. This card is one of those examples. Now, it's a 2/4 flyer for 4, which is just good enough considering it's a vampire. But later in the game, once you get the City's Blessing, this thing is off the wall. This card is incredible. Your opponent's got to deal with it or they basically just lose the game. And if they can't deal with it, you're going to be having a good day. So yes, this card I think will get there, and we see a nice bump already. Number 5, Ravenous Chupacabra, up $1.62 to $2.50, another uncommon on the list, and it goes to show you how good some of these uncommons are in this set. This one, no exception. This card is off the wall. Now remember, again, packs will get open this week, and these uncommons especially will stabilize. But with that being said, this is an awesome indicator that this card will definitely be seeing standard play. I would love to try this out, maybe even in like an aggro, Rakdos deck, something like that. A lot of places, though. If your deck's playing black, that's probably a good card, honestly. I mean, the fact that you get to add pressure to the board with a 2/2 and destroy target creature an opponent controls for 4 mana, even though it is 2 on color, is super sweet. So, yeah, this card is very, very powerful, very swingy card, can really change a board state quickly, and keeps the pressure on your opponent, most importantly. Number 4 is Rekindling Phoenix, up $2.22 this week to $15.20. So when this card was previewed and over the course of probably the last week or so, a lot of people thought, well, this just goes right into Ramanap Red, but of course now there's been some changes with the ban list update to Ramanap Red. But does that mean this card is not going to be played? Of course not. This card's still really, really good, and you see that with the increase of the more than $2 this week. But the card could see play in maybe an evolution of Ramanap Red, whether it's still a similar deck that maybe just adjusts for the changes, or maybe becomes more mid-rangey, or perhaps even a big red deck. Like I said earlier, I've seen people working on like Treasure Big Red, stuff like that. But regardless of what happens, whichever red deck turns out to be the best, this card will be a part of it because it is amazing. So this is one to watch. Number 3, Deeproot Elite, up $3.67 to $6.45. Okay, we'll begin with the trifecta of Merfolk here at the top 3. This is a solid one. It will see play in the standard deck, maybe even a little bit of play in the modern deck. I at least want to test it there. But yeah, this is another one of those key Merfolk that are going to be important going into this next meta. Number 2, Jadelight Ranger, going at $4.77 this week to $9.29. Wow, this is a rare, mind you. This isn't even a mythic. It's at number 2 on our list. It says a lot for the card. This is a card I was really high on during the preview season. And, I mean, look at this thing. 2/1 for 3 with a double Explorer attached to it, and it's a Merfolk. Obviously, this will just fit perfectly into these Merfolk decks. So much value to be had. Just the face value. I mean, take away, like, the buff effects Merfolk could be getting or other effects that work well with Merfolk. Just look at this as a card. I mean, you're getting either a 2/1 where you drew 2 cards. Granted, they're 2 lands, but it helps you still get through your deck and such. Or you're getting a 3/2 where you got to draw lands and do one of those kind of sort of scry things that you do with Explorer. And the third option is you got a 4/3 and you got to do 2 of those kind of sort of scry things. So this will definitely see play in the standard deck. I at least want to test it in the modern deck as well, actually, but really solid card here. Number 1, Kumina, Tyrant of Araska. Surprise, surprise, it's a Merfolk, up $11.65 this week to $23.98. This one moving a little more, being a mythic, of course. It's going to be a little bit harder to find, especially early going. So, does this card see play in standard? Yeah, it does. Again, awesome Merfolk. Is this a 4 of in that deck, though? Maybe not. I mean, it's still a 3 casting cost 2/4 Merfolk. Just if you just stop reading there, that's pretty decent. It is legendary. That could be a little bit awkward, though, for deck building when it comes to thinking of jamming 4 of in your deck. So maybe this is more of a 2 or 3 of. We'll have to kind of wait and see. But those abilities are also super sweet. Because remember, you can tap Merfolk anytime. Like, it doesn't have to be like opening yourself up to an attack or something like that. You can block and then, of course, tap after blocking. You can wait to your opponent's end step and do it. So these abilities where you're tapping Merfolk, the second and third one include this one. Now, of course, the first one you have to tap a different Merfolk to make it so it can't be blocked, which makes sense. But the other 2, you can even tap this one. So you're really only looking for 2 more Merfolk to draw a card, or 4 more to do the +1/+1 counter thing. So I can't wait to see this Merfolk deck in action. It feels like it's going to be really strong. It really feels like they push that tribe quite a bit in this set. So we'll see over the next few weeks, no doubt. But yes, this card will be hot in standard. Maybe even a little bit of play in modern again. We'll have to kind of wait and see. It's a tighter format. It's a tighter deck. So I'm a little skeptical some of these 3 drops if they all get there. But I do think some of them, or at least one of them, maybe we'll see some play in that deck. We'll have to kind of see how that goes. I haven't seen any testing or anything firsthand for these cards in modern, but I'm looking forward to see what kind of impact they do have. All right, with that being said, that's our Market Watch special edition today. So we will be back, of course, on Saturday. We'll do our regular Market Watch. I'm going to keep doing these separate Rivals videos for a while because, again, the prices are going to move dramatically. So these cards would kind of take over the regular Market Watch if we didn't do them in separate videos. So we're going to do some separate videos for a few weeks until they kind of stabilize and we can roll them into the regular Market Watch. And tomorrow, hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get a hold of a fat pack to open on the channel. That's my goal anyway. We'll see how that goes. But until next time, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe. Have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.